Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing? It's Jules Wyman here from juleswyman.com. And as you will tell, if you are on live right now, or even if you're watching the recording, you'll see that as per usual at the start, my eyes are darting all over the place. And that is mainly because I am checking that this is going out live. And yeah, I can see that it is. It's always a bonus. Because I don't have a team of, I nearly said minions then, of people working with me that that can check. So it's just me checking and saying hi and sharing. She says, looking at how do I do that on here now? They've changed things. I know. I'll go to here. So whilst I'm waiting for people, because I know that on that it takes a few minutes sometimes for people to join. So I'm just going to share this on my other page. And you can do the same too. I can't talk and type at the same time, as if you watched any of these before, you will know. Come and join the conversation on the other page. There we go. All done, and that means that you now have my full attention. I'm back, I'm here. So good evening, and to my name's Jules Wyman, which I believe I've already said, from juleswyman.com, and this evening's confidence conversation is brought to you live from my home. And actually there's somebody that I need to tag if I can. I'm not sure if it will let me tag them. No, it will not. That's annoying. Only because that's their picture. If I can do that, that's their picture they painted at the retreat in Spain a couple of weeks ago. Oh, it's nearly a month ago now. I know, yeah, it'd be nice to show that it's up on my wall. Anyway, I'm waffling. Can you tell? It's been a crazy busy day. I've had all sorts of fun and excitement catching up with somebody who I've known for like 13 years. We both started out in business roughly at the same time, and we catch up maybe once or twice a year. Sometimes it's more than that, but roughly once or twice a year. And it's always great to catch up with her because I end up coming away with loads of ideas and it sparks lots of great conversations. So that was a lovely morning, and then I spent the afternoon with a client, which again is always joyous because it's a charity that I love working with. And then went into town to pick something up, and then my car stopped working. So I had to do a little bit of witchery magic power to get that back on, and so I can get back home again. And here I am, finally and thankfully in enough time to be able to start this conversation and continue this conversation, because I have a sneaking suspicion, although I've written my notes out for this, which are very, very brief, there's like 4 little bullet points. However, I have a sneaking suspicion that I might split this into a 2-parter, because I can either do it 2 ways and do those 4 bits and do them very... good evening to those of you who are just joining, by the way. Do feel free to drop down and say hi, because it's always nice to be able to say hello to you. So yeah, so there's 4/5 parts to this, and so I'm just giving you the heads up that I may only do a couple of those. Hi Tiffany, how are you, my lovely? It's lovely to see you here. Haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, so I'm giving you a heads up that I might only do a couple of them and then split it and do the do part 2 next week. So I'll leave you on a cliffhanger. So for those of you who have joined before, you'll know the kind of regular waffle that I do at the beginning. But for those of you who are watching either live for the first time or watching a recording for the first time, then please do as somebody has already done so brilliantly. There's 2 things. One, do as Tiffany has already done and say hello, because it's always great, no matter where you are in the world, for me to be able to say hello and give you a shout out. So I can see that there's people on here like Alyssa, and so good evening, Alyssa, that are regulars that come and watch all the time. There are some people who, even if you watch on the recording, hey Caroline, If you do are somebody who does watch on the recording, then again, say hi, because whilst I may not be able to say hello live, I do actually see those posts come up, and I go on and I have a little chat with you. So if anybody, especially last week's video about overwhelm, got a lot of attention, a lot of people were talking about it, and there were a lot of conversations that were happening after it went out. So yeah, I still jumped on, still had the conversation, still answered some of the questions and the thoughts and the insights that came up. So whether you're watching on the recording or whether you're watching live, then do as Tiffany, Alyssa and Caroline have done, and do say hi, because it's lovely to give you a shout out. Obviously, only if it's safe to do so. If you're doing something crazy like listening to this whilst you're driving, then please don't say hello. Say hello out loud, and I'll pretend that I'm waving to you right now. So the other things to think about or to remind you of is, as I go through this evening's topic about how to get what you want, how to have the life you want, however you want to phrase that, that don't wait for me. Hey, Chris, don't wait for me to invite you to type something. If something that I say, if it triggers something, if you find it insightful, resourceful, helpful, whatever it may be, then go for it and just start typing in your thoughts. Equally, if it sparks a question, then share that too. If it makes absolutely no sense to you whatsoever, or it's not resonating with you, then again, then put that in the comments thing as well, because it's great to have that kind of conversation. That's the whole point. Is this really is meant to be a conversation, and I could sit here and I could just waffle on till the cows come home, but actually what's really important is a conversation and an interaction. So whether that happens live on the session or whether it happens in the recording, that's my invitation. So don't wait for me to I get to type, and this really goes out to my British and my English specifically peers, because we can be very good at waiting for permission to do something when in actual fact the permission is already there. So the other thing, of course, then is if things are making sense or you like them, they really resonate, then do the likes, do the hearts. That's a bit of a dodgy heart. There we go, a bit better. Do the hearts. The other emojis, obviously feel free to do an angry face or a sad face. The only challenge that I have with that is that if it's something that hasn't resonated with you or is not making sense, and you do one of those emojis, because there is a time delay, I don't know what that connects to, and therefore maybe can't give you a further explanation or insight on something. So if something doesn't make sense or you don't agree with it, I'm not asking you to agree with everything that I share, then please do, again, jump into the comments, whether it's on the recording or whether it's live, and let's see what we can unpack and have a look there. Let me have some thumbs up. Let me know that that's making sense. Give me some thumbs up, my lovelies. Let me know that you've got that button working. I keep looking down and thinking that this is other people, but it's the same names that look similar. So as you're doing that, because you'll see that there is a bit of a time delay, here they go. All the emojis are going. Brilliant. Thank you for that, whoever's been having fun and pressing all of them. So my thoughts this evening are, as I said, around hi Stephen, I haven't seen you for a long time. We need to do a catch up at some point. Yeah, so there's two reasons that this topic has come up, and if you're on my newsletter, then you will know one of the reasons, or even if you saw the other video on my other page, then you'll know what the reasons are for there. There's more hearts and things coming in. Thank you very much. Is that I overheard a part of a conversation with somebody the other day, or two people. The first person said to the other person, I woke up this morning and kind of thought, God, my life's just not how I want it to be, or this is not how I thought my life would be. And the other person went, yeah, I think that quite often as well about my life, but you can't do anything about it, can you? And they both sort of like shrugged their shoulders and was like, yeah, and then carried on walking and changed the subject. And for me, there is so much, because of how much I have taken and learnt new information and how much that's changed my life, that I want to go up to people and go, but it doesn't have to be that way. You could do. And I want to start sharing. Hi, Charlotte. I want to start sharing the stuff that's made a difference for myself. However, I have recognized and learned through painful experiences that not only is that not, it's quite an arrogant thing to do, because not everybody's open to that, not everybody wants that, and there's a potential of arrogance coming from me of going, I know how to help you change your life, sort of stuff. So I don't do that anymore. But I use this as my forum because that was a theme that came up. And then I also, as I said earlier, met up with this lovely, lovely friend of mine today, Nadine Hill, who we've both been in business. She does very different business to me, but we both started up at roughly the same time, and we've stayed in contact with each other, and we meet up a couple of times a year, sometimes more. And what I really loved, there was loads that I loved about the conversation with Nadine today, but one thing I really loved was how much she is, and I think she may have even used this phrase. Nadine, if you watch this and I misquote you, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure you used this quote, which was something along the lines of how much she loves her life. I love my life. My life is how I want it to be. I love it. So having those two bits of information come out at very close periods of time, I thought, well, there's a great topic here for us to be talking about. Why the first people that I overheard, why they haven't got the life that they want, and why Nadine potentially has, and therefore what you can do about it. And the sort of like the third thing that I always think about at this time of year is around, because it's Christmas or leading up to Christmas, well, you'd think by the amount of advertising and the way that the retail shops are going crazy that it's already Christmas, but excuse me, there is plenty of time. But one of the things I always used to remember as a kid is I would get the catalogue or the Argos catalogue or something, and I would go through and I would go through and I would be very much like, and I want one of them, 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 and I'd just go through and I'd be, I want. Now, and I also saw a little boy, couldn't have been older than 2, in a store the other day, who obviously didn't have a lot of verbal skills at that point, but he was literally pointing to something, which is obviously something that he wanted. And when we are very little, we seem to find it very easy to ask for what we want, and we point out and we say, and even if we can't articulate it, we're like, whatever that thing is we want. But then, I don't know about you, but definitely some of the well-meaning big people that I grew up around, they start to say phrases like, don't be so greedy, or I want doesn't always get, and various different themes on that. And I know for me that in some senses that kind of taught me a thing of not asking for what I want. And I think somewhere along the line, culturally as well, I do think that as women, we are encouraged not to ask for what we want and to be grateful for what we're given. I don't think that's as prominent for men. It's definitely something I've had a conversation with a lot of women about. Hi to all of those that are joining live, by the way. Do drop down and say hi, so I can give you a shout out. So, and let me know if this is making sense as well. That I think that then that's why some people get to a point where they do wake up and they kind of look at their lives and go, oh, this isn't what I want, and this isn't what I expected my life to be. And then just shrug their shoulders and go, well, what can I do about it now? And I know that that is very much how I lived my life for at least 3 decades. So there's some thumbs and hearts going up. There's an angry face that keeps going up as well, and a sad face. If that is a genuine angry face or a sad face, can you give me an explanation so that we can have a conversation about it? Because that's the whole point, is it's a conversation. So I think one of the first steps, which is why, as I said, to flag this up, that this is probably going to be a 2-parter, she says, realizing that we're already 14 minutes in, so nearly halfway through. So this probably is going to be a 2-parter. So the first part, I really would love to invite you to start thinking about what you want. Now, some of you might go, well, that's really easy. For some of you, that may not be easy. And then for the majority of us, we're going to be somewhere between that. And I know this from working with clients even one-on-one, is that very often when I ask them, well, okay, what do you want? What tends to happen? Hi, Paula. Hi, Christopher. Is that I get a long list of, well, I don't want this, and I know I don't want this to happen, and I know how I don't want my life to be. And that's a great thing to have a knowledge of how you don't want things to be. You know, I don't want to be getting up at this time every day, or I don't want to be working these kinds of hours, or I don't want to be in debt, or I don't want to be unhealthy, or I don't want to be this size, or I don't want to be unfit, or I don't want to be single, or, you know, whatever it is, or I don't want to be married. I know that there are a lot of people who have that focus, and there is nothing wrong with having that focus, apart from the fact that that is not going to help you focus on what you want, because you're stuck in a wheel of what I don't want. So your first thing really is to imagine that you are that little child again, probably under the age of 4, who found it very easy to go, and I want that, and I want one of them, and I'm hungry, so feed me, and I could do with a hug, so give me a hug, and I want a bedtime story, and I want that particular story. You know, we had the capacity to do that as kids. So that's my first invitation to you, is to actually write a list out of all the things that you want and how you want things to be. Now, again, there are a lot of people who don't know how to do that, and I think there's a multiple of reasons why. And I do think partly because we were taught not to ask for what we want. And by the way, if there are certain things that you want, feel free to put them down here in the comments below. Feel free to do that if you're happy to share. But I know that when I've spoken to people that quite often they will be, yeah, but I don't know what I want. And I've had this with a number of clients recently who have, it's usually, actually no, I was just going to say it's usually when people have reached a certain age, and I would say 35 upwards, but then 2 clients have popped into my head that are in their 20s. So that ditches that theory. Hi, Harriet. How lovely to have you here. Hi, Claire. There's lots of waving going on, which is nice. So if you're somebody like that isn't finding it easy to write a list out of what you want, is to start with the I don't wants, and write out your list of I don't want to be unfit, I don't want to be in debt, I don't want to be single, I don't want to be married, I don't want to be in a relationship, I don't want to be whatever it is. Write all of those out so that you're not denying them, you're recognizing that they are there. But then look for the opposite. Ask yourself for each one of those things. So if I don't want to be unfit, then that means I want to be fit. Okay, if I don't want to be in debt, then doesn't necessarily mean I want to be rich, but does that mean that I want to be affluent, or does it mean that I want to have more than enough, or what are the specifics of that? Get clarity on that for yourself. And you can dig down into each of those, you know, what does fit look like for you? What does being financially wealthy look like for you? What is a great relationship or a great experience, holidays, whatever it is that you want, what does that look like for you? And when you've got that, you can be, if you can be specific, great. But I'm not a big fan of things having to be specific unless you're looking for measurables. But really and truly, you know, I want to travel more and be paid to travel. It's one of the things that I want for 2019, by the way. So if you've got any ideas on that, then please do let me know. But I'm not being specific about where I want to travel, because actually I'm open to where that is, whether that is in the UK or whether that's in Europe or whether that is long haul further afield. I really don't mind. So to me at the moment, to specify certain things from that perspective is not required. I am just open to travel, and I'm open to being paid for that travel. Does that make sense? Let me know if that's making sense. Tiffany says, at work I've always been asked what I want for my career, but I have never been ambitious enough to have a career plan. So I've taken opportunities when they came my way, as I've never really known what I wanted to do with my life. That, Tiffany, is a fantastic topic starter. Excuse me. And it's extremely common, my lovely, as well, because so many people find themselves, especially in work, that they may have some idea of an area that they want to work in, So they start off in that area, and then because they haven't got a right, I want to be the CEO, or I want to be the chief of, or the head of, that they just take the next opportunity. And there is nothing wrong with that. I don't think we all have to have a right, I want to reach to the top of the career ladder, because that's not what everybody, may not be what everybody wants. So what I would invite you to do, Tiffany, is take a step back and forget job titles, forget job roles, specific job roles, and start to look at, if you were going to be writing your own job description, for example, is write that out without any. So think about the location, the hours you want to work, the money you want to work, and the people that you want to be working with, the kind of work that you're doing. Are you inside the office? Are you working from home? Are you out in the field? Quite literally, maybe. But what is it that you're doing? Is there travel involved? Is there, are you front facing with clients? Are you behind the scenes? What is it that would make that up? Because whilst you may not have a specific, I want to be a head of, or CEO, or MD, or whatever it may be, that may give you some insights into the directions. And it may not be that you're looking to work your way up the ladder, but then that might give you some insights, for example, around certain projects or secondments. I know there's one particular client that I've been working with for a while, and through our conversations, he gets clarity. He doesn't know where he wants to go. It may just be that he knows the next thing is he wants to earn more money. So that's what we'll focus on, and what that would look like. But sometimes it's about the kind of people he wants to be working with, and there's specific people within his industry that is like, I don't know how, but I want to work with that person. And it's not that I want to be employed by them, but it's like, how can I get on a project with them? Or how can I get myself in alignment with them? Looking at secondments and various different things. So it becomes about broadening that out. Let me know if that makes sense, Tiffany, and whether that helps you get some clarity about what you want. And if not as well, the what I know, what I don't want might help you if you get that list and write that big long list out of what you don't want, then that might help you get some insights. Now I'm just going to check, because my other thing is beeping. So I'm just checking. Nope, that's one of them. That's fine. Just realized I got more tabs open with other things pinging from different pages. So potentially it could have been somebody pinging in about this, but on another page. Anyway, there's lots of thumbs and things going up there. Brilliant. There's the angry face again. I don't mind the angry face, but if there's as I said at the beginning, if there's an angry face, to me, that means that something either doesn't make sense, or you're confused, or not in agreement. You don't have to be in agreement. But if there's something that you would like further information on, or a discussion over, then please do jot it down in the comments so that we can have a conversation about it. So that's my first part, and that's why I would say, and bearing in mind, I thought I'd get through 2 points on this. We've kind of not really done one fully yet. This may be a part 3. There might be 3 parts to this in the end. Anyway, so get very clear on what it is that you want. And sometimes when you take yourself through that process of writing that big long list out, you may discover there's some resistance there to even thinking that it's possible for you to have it, with knowing what it is that you want, etc., etc. So that's a really helpful thing to start with. If you need to start with the I don't know what I want list, then do that, and then look for the opposite. But if not, give yourself, sometimes I pretend I'm writing a letter to Santa all over again. And I'm hoping that there's no little person listening. I won't say it just in case, but I pretend I'm writing a letter to Santa, and I ask for what I want. If you're somebody who has a faith of some description, and whether it's God or Allah or whoever it is that you believe in and have faith in, then you can imagine you are talking to them. Sometimes I do it as if I'm talking to my granddad, and if you know me, you will know that he is my hero, and he will be 101 at the end of next month, and to me, he is my hero. So sometimes if I struggle with writing out my want list, I imagine that I'm saying it to Grandad, because he's somebody that has always shown me unconditional love. And as I say, I hero worship him. And therefore I find it a lot easier to be able to imagine I'm having that conversation with him, and imagine that I'm saying, this is what I would like, this is what I want, this is what I want. And yeah, so that's the first part of this. Now the second part of it, this is kind of like part 1A, that's that bit, and then this is part 1B. And I'm going to, and if you've got any questions, any comments, if things, hey Patricia, if anything is not making sense, or if you want to know more, then please do drop it in the comments below. It would be fantastic to have you on board with that. So 1B, I'm going to go over very briefly, and this is where I will probably pick up next week. Not probably, I will pick up next week and do as many of the others. So this is going to be part 1. So once you've got clarity on what it is that you want, excuse me a moment. Once you've got clarity on what it is that you want, is this can become the challenging part, is looking at who it is that you could ask for that from. So for instance, and this is something that women in particular have a challenge with, men do too, but it's not as common, or at least in my experience with the people that I've worked with, it seems to be more prevalent in females than it does in males. And I don't know whether that's because of our heritage culturally that we've picked up on we shouldn't ask for what we want and therefore we don't. But anyway, it's about then sharing that want with somebody. Now, I'm going to focus on this specifically from a work perspective, because in my experience, whenever I've worked with people to get clear on what it is that they want from their career, that particular job, or it may be their business, and helping them get that clarity and drilling down, it's then being specific about asking for what you want to the right person. So for example, it may be that you've got an idea, going back to what I was saying earlier with Tiffany, it may be that you've got an idea of the kind of project that you want to be on, or the sort of secondment that you want to be on, or that you maybe want to have some experience in another department within the organization. That it's speaking to the right person to be able to make that happen. But get very clear on not only what you want, but what the outcomes are you're looking to achieve for that personally, and then maybe how you're going to bring that back to the team, or how that's going to benefit your boss, or whatever it may be, so that you can show that there's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win if possible, all the way around. It's got to be a win-win for all involved. And if you can show that, that becomes easier for them to be able to encourage it. But in my experience, the more often that you have clarity on what it is that you want, and then are able to ask the right person, and what I mean by the right person is whether it be your boss, or it may be that you need to sit down and have a conversation with your partner, your spouse, or your husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, and have a chat with them about what it is that you want. And maybe there's about the two of you bringing both of your wants into alignment. And I've got a number of different people popping into my head at the moment that I know do have what they want in their lives, and they are happy with how their lives are. Is that it's about then a lot of that has come around from them having those conversations, both with their bosses, but also with one in particular I'm thinking about, when they've moved jobs. So they're being very clear with recruitment agents what they were looking for, being very clear with their partners so that they can look at how they can create the life that they want. But basically it's finding the right person, and sometimes that right person might be a best friend, or a confidant in some description, a mentor, a coach, whatever it may be, somebody that you can share that with, even though they may not be able to provide that thing for you. But it's finding somebody that you can share that with. And again, if you're somebody who has faith in whatever way that shows up for you, whether that's faith in God, life, Allah, the universe, whatever you call the divine, the creator, that it may be that you're sharing it in that sense. Now, I am going to be wrapping this part up to, that doesn't make sense. I am going to be wrapping this part 1 up in a moment. So, but before I do, what I would love to know, for those of you who have been listening and watching all the way through, whether it's live now or on the recording, is to let me know what your takeaway is so far from this about how to have the life that you want. What's your takeaway from this so far? And just jot your answers below as I'm wrapping up, because in fact, let me just you can see how much I genuinely thought, I can go through all of those bits, and I get so passionate about this and all of these aspects of things that I want to share and give you some insights with. And I recognize as I start talking, for me, I recognize that it sounds, it's like I'm opening a can of worms. There's so many other things that I want to be sharing with you. Yeah, you see, Claire, if you don't ask, you don't get. I love that. And it was something that I always got very confused with as a child, because I had one statement which would be, if you don't ask, you don't get. But then the other statement would be, but I want doesn't always get. So it's a bit like, well, so do I have to ask, but then that's wrong? And I got kind of quite confused, and it caused a lot of internal conflict for me. So, but thank you for that reminder. So, yeah, so this is part 1. And next Monday, except she says check-in, is it the last Monday of the month? It is the last Monday. How has that happened? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the 19th. My diary's on the wrong page. So next Monday, I'm rushing through November far too quickly. Next Monday, I will do part 2. So I'll go through the other 3 things that I believe that you need to be able to do in order for you to get the life that you want. And give you the overview of those, so you can start putting those in place. So whether you're watching this live now or whether you're watching this on the recording, feel free to put your comments in. Feel free to do lots of likes and shares. And especially if this has made sense for you and you feel that it's given you a cause for thinking about what it is that you like or what it is that you want in your life, then please do share this with other people, because there are other people that are bound to be, that you know, that are in a similar situation to yourself. So please share this video. That's the purpose of these, is to give people an access to all the different things that happen, and the things that have made a difference in my life, and give you some ins into a very deep world, but give you an overview, a big picture. So Harriet says, a list of wants is a great idea. I often think about them, but don't write them down, and make it clear what I can put into motion and make it happen. Brilliant. So go for it, Harriet. I'll be on your case. So yes, I will continue this next week. If whilst watching this has brought up other questions that you think link into this topic, then again, please do let me know. You can either message me direct on here, put your comment below, or you can email me, jules@juleswyman.com, and I can incorporate that into next week as well. Tiffany's agreeing with Claire and says, we must ask. I've kept on asking support to my line manager, and some changes have been made recently to help. I've been told to be tenacious, but when you really do want something, and don't give up. Yeah, absolutely. And very quickly, I'll tell you a story about, and his name has just gone out of my head. There was a guy who used to be an American footballer, and he gave it up and finished his career, and then wanted to be an actor and wanted to learn from the best, and was told that the best to learn from is Al Pacino. So he wanted to learn from Al Pacino. So every person he met, he would say, do you know Al Pacino? Do you know Al Pacino? I want to learn from Al Pacino. And this went on for about 2 years, because he wanted a one-to-one class with him, and he knew that just by contacting him, that wasn't going to work. So he kept asking when he was at dinner parties and all sorts of things. And then he finally was at a dinner party and sat next to this lady, and she said about what it is that he's doing now, and he said about acting and wanted to learn from Al Pacino. By the way, I don't know do you know Al Pacino? And she said, well, hang on a minute, and picked up her phone and dialed a number, and she said, hi honey, yeah, I've got somebody here who wants to meet you. I'll just pass you over. And he was actually sat next to Al Pacino's wife. But it took him 2 years. That's how tenacious he was, and kept going. So yeah, sometimes it does take tenacity. And I think as human beings, we become very lazy and want everything as a quick fix, even more so now than we ever have done before. So she says, finally breathing. Chris says, writing the ideal job CV is a great exercise and so insightful. I know, we've done it numbers of times in different ways, Chris. And I love it. It's brilliant and has some magic things that happen when you do it. So, yes. I think that's it. I'm speaking at 100 miles an hour. I do apologise. It's just there's so many things I want to share with you this evening, and I've got slightly excited about it all. So please do make sure that you share this video if you found it of resonance. If it's helped you, it can help somebody else. That's the purpose of it. If you haven't already gone to my website and signed up for the 7 Keys of Confidence, then please go and grab it. It's for free. You just go to juleswyman.com. In fact, I shall type that in there. There we go. So that's there. You can grab that for free. And if you are looking for a speaker for your next events, or if you are looking for a coach and want to know more, then I'm taking bookings for next year. Most of this year I've got some opens, but not many left for this year. So if it's something that you really do want to make sure that you start next year really getting the life that you want and digging into this stuff and going a lot deeper, then get in touch with me either directly on here or jules@juleswyman.com. It's me that it goes through to. It's me that sorts it out. So then please do, please let's get on with that and make that happen. Let's not let another year go by with you wandering and being like those 2 ladies that I saw walking down the street that were saying that they haven't got the life they want, but hey ho, they can't do anything about it, because you can. And I'm hoping that this evening has given you a starting point, if nothing else, to write that list of what you want and to go from there. So give me some thumbs up if this has made sense, if it's resonated, if you've enjoyed it, if you've liked it. If you're going to share it, then share, then whatever, but give me some thumbs up so I know that it's made sense before I sign off for this evening and finish my slightly cold cup of tea now. So there's some thumbs coming in. Fantastic. I know that some people have their phones or their machines up, devices, not machines, up, so they can't always reach those really quickly. But thank you all very much for joining this evening. Thank you for those thumbs and those hearts, and I look forward to doing part 2 with you next week. Take care. Bye now.